Teaching number 192. Welcome on this day of remembrance in which you commemorate the moment in which humanity first heard my word through human intellect. The years have passed and I contemplate that the spiritual strength of understanding of those whom I have used, as well as of those who have listened to me, has developed. They are no longer infants in the spiritual sense, nor are they ignorant before the manifestation of divinity. Due to the elevation they have achieved, they have allowed for the light of the Master to be revealed among humanity, for the perfection of your spiritual life. The ignorance of the spiritual truths in which humanity found itself is eliminated by my light, and man understands that the power of the Almighty has been limited in an act of love, to make himself heard and understood through his children. Since then, a new era began for men, who now no longer finds barriers that prevent them from celebrating and restoring their spirits through the grace that this work contains. Since then, all my disciples have been freed from that false belief of eternal damnation if they died in sin, or of an imperishable happiness, if death surprised them clean of all stain. You awakened and foresaw the path of evolution that every spirit follows through reincarnation until reaching perfection, allowing them to live in the spiritual realm without having to inhabit the earth anymore. You understood the reason for the restitution and the meaning of the trials. The sinners who came before me understood that eternal damnation does not exist and rose full of hope and faith to work for the benefit of the spirit. A new understanding of what spiritual life is arose in their minds, and he who was dead according to his faith was reborn to that life. This miracle was accomplished through my communication through human understanding. At first I allowed you to continue with your customs and religious traditions, because your spirit was saturated with them and your senses were accustomed to them, but as my teaching was making light in your spirit, those rites and practices were disappearing. Stimulated by the miracles that you achieved through faith, you succeeded in repeating what Jesus told you in the second era: the miracle is done by faith. What I gave you in the year 1866 was a reminder of the law that was made known to you from Moses and of the word of Jesus, the only begotten, who came to teach you in the second era. It was necessary that in this era you were reminded that the law was enacted since the first era. The fulfillment that you must give to my law has no limitations. Now in one way, tomorrow in another, you must always seek the good for your brother. My law is not a mandate to be imposed by force, it is an eternal invitation to do good. I will not impose goodness upon you, I will inspire it and wait for you to feel it, so that when you practice it, you will feel that you have complied with the law of God. Through the ages, man has forged in his mind an image of God, through which he has sought and worshipped him. But since there was confusion in the practice of beliefs, the Father has made use of envoys and emissaries, men enlightened by my divinity, who have come to clarify the confused ideas. Among them are my spokesmen, whom I have prepared to allow you to hear my word of light through them. While some have listened to the divine messages with interest, others, feeling that their deep-rooted customs were being attacked, have felt repulsion towards the call of my envoys. All the messengers of my divinity have had to suffer scorn, all of them have known human cruelty and ingratitude. In every age, my precursors have come to preach and practice what I have entrusted to them, always in accordance with the spiritual advancement of humanity. I have always manifested to you my existence as the creator of the universe, and I gave you to understand from the beginning that the basis for inhabiting this world in peace was love and charity. Then you discovered that in your being there was something that did not belong to matter. That premonition, taking shape in your heart, revealed to you the existence of the Spirit and the conviction that after this life there was another for that Spirit, eternity. When Jesus dwelt as a man with you, he showed you his ever-new and ever-eternal doctrine, which pointed out to you the path you should follow to find him again, and in the third era you have listened to me again, now as the Holy Spirit, through the understanding of man. Every time I have come to you, I have led you away from the worship of false deities, to direct you to the true path. The Divine Spirit has truly come upon you, showing the world that His Word as a seed of love, is the life that is born, grows, and is perfected. When Christ finished His work, He said, "It is finished," that is, that lesson had come to an end. However, earlier He had promised to return among the men because He still had new lessons in store for them. And here is the Master among you, revealing to you the new teachings and reminding you of the forgotten ones, so that you always keep in mind the duties of your spirit, which must be a true image of the Creator, towards the Father and towards your brothers. After my stay as Jesus among men, I have always come to those who came as soldiers or apostles to confirm my doctrine with their works and prevent humanity from twisting my teachings, but many deaf and blind, imperfectly interpreting my word, divided their opinions, thus creating a diversity of sections. And if men are spiritually divided, how can they love one another, according to the highest commandments of my law? That is why I tell you that this civilization is only apparent, because men themselves destroy it. As long as humanity does not build a world on the foundations of my law of justice and love, it will not be able to have the peace and light of the Spirit, on whose virtues it would create and forge a true world of elevation, both in the spirit and in science and in morality. If you could already conduct yourselves obeying the dictates of your conscience, divinity would not have to materialize to remind you of your duties. If you already understood that the blood of the perfect man, who was Jesus, was shed to show you the path of your salvation, you would seek me continually on that path, but you do not do so. However, I love you and I come to look for those who have forgotten me, to renew my promise, telling them that the kingdom of heaven still awaits them. I do not bring for you a new doctrine, nor a new law, but I do bring many new revelations. Everything that I teach you will lead you to the fulfillment of the greatest commandment that tells you, love one another. As you listen to my lessons and learn from me, the more enlightened your spirit becomes. It will then be useless for you to try to deceive yourselves, because he as judge will call you to account. In vain you will try to justify your bad acts, because conscience will relentlessly point out your mistakes until you correct them. You will be your own judges. Because, I do not dictate sentences, nor do I indicate the place that after this life you are going to occupy in the spirit realm, I only inspire you to carve light and peace for the hereafter. Thus I show you that between God and man there is an intimate relationship. Love me, even when you cannot imagine how I am. I have no form, I am simply love, power, wisdom, everything that exists. But if you cannot conceive of all these virtues, look at me and imagine me through Jesus, but remember that he told you, whoever knows the Son knows the Father. When you love, when you feel impelled to practice charity, when you want to forgive, imagine Jesus, feel him, let him live in your heart. Then you will truly be similar to your Father, both in love and in that you spiritually have no form, because you are light. Beloved humanity, I see you tired and overwhelmed by the weight of your faults. You ask me for a balm that heals your spirit and your matter, and I tell you, start a fight with yourselves, penetrate your interior and get to know yourselves. Judge yourselves with the light of your conscience so that you know why you suffer at this time, and thus, full of firm resolutions, of obeying my law, you can uproot the germ of evil and be healthy. The weeds will be cut out by the roots and thrown into the fire. Man is not the weed that grows on earth, but sin, ignorance that has multiplied, invading hearts, but my word comes to illuminate the human spirit. My inspirations and revelations will stop the advance of evil and will turn the heart of man into fertile soil, and in those lands I will sow my seed until it bears abundant fruit. I am the doctor who comes in search of the patient. When you find yourselves tired of suffering and do not find a compassionate hand to heal you, come to me, pray and enter into communion with me, and I will pour out the consolation you need. I will not judge your past, I will lead you to the path of fulfillment, and step by step I will transform you into men of goodwill. Promise yourselves to make amends, do not swear before me, because the flesh is fragile and can be treacherous. When times are bad, do not despair, do not blaspheme, resist the storms, accept the tests, and your spirit will refine itself and reach perfection. I will stop the ambition of men. The destruction will have a limit, and after the day that the prophets have spoken to you, in which human pride will be brought down, I will grant each being peace, according to its merits, and a new dawn will shine for this world. Who can penetrate my high judgments? Who will dare to destroy what I have formed within you? The spirit is untouchable. If they destroy the body, the spirit whose essence is immortal will remain, and the conscience, like a law, will continue to guide its steps, until it reaches me. Everyone who bows before divine judgment will find the direction that leads to perfection. I have marked the destiny of each spirit, its beginning and its end are in me. Along the way great joys await you. You will fight one battle after another, but in all your steps, you will find me and my love will strengthen you. The Father will not separate from the Son, and when he has returned to the divine womb, there will be a party in heaven and joy in this world. Then Master and assembled disciples can meet. Truly I say to you, not only in this world do I have disciples, also in the beyond the spirits receive my teaching and listen to this same word that you hear, even those who, due to their elevation and light, are teachers, approach to listen to the word of the divine Master. Just as in your world there are material differences, according to the preparation that each one has, also in the spiritual world there are many rungs on the ladder of perfection. Just as you come to hear me to know how you should carry out your mission, also the beings of light are willing to listen to me to serve their Father even better. That is why whenever I speak to you, I find myself surrounded by hosts of angels. At that hour they unite with you through the divine bond of love. In the spiritual valley they are not distinguished from each other, nobody is unknown, there is a great attraction and charity among all. The spiritualist people must do the same in the nations, religions and sects, until they achieve brotherhood among humanity. The new disciples will see the prophecies come true that announce the kingdom of Christ in the universe. Know that those who live in other worlds serve me from there and receive my orders. They will come to you as Cyrenians and traveling companions, manifesting their strength and their light on your way. They will speak to you through the gift of revelation. Likewise, future generations, those who will advance one step further than you, will receive the light of great spirits in their faculties of intellect. Recognize for all this that I reveal to you, that not everything that happens in your world is the work of men. Know how to discover the influence of the spiritual realm in your life. My teaching has given you enough knowledge to break the veils of fanaticism and ignorance, those veils that prevent you from contemplating the truth. Let your spirit free, before which infinite space is open. Do not subject it to believe only in the forms that your imagination creates. Let it be inspired by my lessons, discover and see, so it will acquire wisdom. If you want to be great in spirit, help it in its development, do not stagnate it in fanaticism. Everything evolves, everything changes and is perfected, only my law is immutable and immovable, because it has always been and will always be perfect. It is the guide of the world, it is the divine advice, the light that inspires good. Tomorrow you will speak under my inspiration, and until that moment arrives, the spiritual realm penetrates the heart of man to guide humanity towards the path that will lead to the kingdom of peace. My will has chosen sinners, because I did not come looking for the righteous. They are already saved, but now my mercy has chosen you. Show your brothers your life as a mirror, as an example and a proof of regeneration. I know of the struggles that exist in your own spirit, of the weaknesses of your heart, that sometimes you do not find the strength to get ahead in the tests, and that is when you raise your plea to the Master asking him to come to your aid. It is when before him you confess yourselves unworthy of my gifts and my graces. That is why I have approached you and I have told you, drink from the essence of my word, because it is my own blood, which will wash you and save you. The spirits are in ecstasy listening to me, the hearts beat rapidly upon receiving the light of my word, the lips begin to stammer the first phrases of spirituality. They are those of the new disciples who are born to the true life. I saw your smallness and your poverty, as well as a great humility and conformity in your spirit, and when the time was ripe, I came to bring you your inheritance. When the crowds began to arrive at the places where my word is manifested, I only beheld orphaned hearts. You then listened to my word, whose essence, like a powerful bomb, performed the miracle of raising you to life. Only my word, only this doctrine could teach you to seek in your being the existence of your spirit, its powers, its attributes, its missions. Now, as you begin to know each other, you begin to experience a great confidence in life, a real and true faith in me, a peace that you did not know before. Don't you think it's fair that your spirit knows the way it should go? That is what I wanted when giving you my teaching. Remember that from that time I told you, I am the way, whoever follows it will not fall. Not only those who listen to me through the understanding of these speakers will be wise, no, I am preparing everything so that my word, even after it stops manifesting itself through these channels, reaches all the places on earth, because my message is for all the peoples that make up humanity. Multitudes, who arrived sick and who have healed yourselves with the balm of my word, understand that you did not only come to heal the evil that afflicted you, understand that the true purpose of my call has been to reveal to you the spiritual mission that you must fulfill towards your brothers. Do not confine yourself to rejoicing for having recovered your faith, also seek for your spirit the joy that works of charity give. May your testimony not be limited to saying, "The Master healed me," but also do the same with your fellow men, because then you will be fulfilling for me and for them, you will be giving testimony of the love for your Father. Who does not feel charity towards the needy, who does not experience in his heart the pain of others, will not have taken the step that is necessary to take on my path to be called a disciple of Christ. I have found you hardened, indifferent and selfish towards others, and I have begun by pouring my benefits on you, sweetening your heart and sensitizing fibers, so that later you could fix your attention on others and also forget about yourself. Today the world ignores that I am gathering a people whose voice will one day be heard everywhere. I will send the new disciples to preach, but it will not be until I find them prepared, when they know how to face the fight and men cannot silence them because beforehand, they will have been given resounding proof of my truth. Humanity does not know about the gifts that I am revealing to this people, which are the gifts that every man and every spirit possesses. When my disciples have developed these gifts and have prepared themselves, they will be able to give a broad and true testimony at his hands. This people will still have to fight a lot to reach their preparation and their spirituality. They will have to go through many tests to purify themselves from the scourges that still accompany them, but my word, said in these times, will be fulfilled, as the one that in past times I revealed to humanity has been fulfilled, and you will see the spiritual seed spread through all the paths of the earth, like an unstoppable torrent of crystalline waters, washing, purifying, dragging away everything bad, fertilizing the fields, bringing life and truth to all the regions. What does the strength of men mean before my power? What can the opposition of the materialistic peoples against the infinite force of spirituality? Nothing. I have allowed man to go to the limit of his ambitions and to the height of his pride to prove that the gift of free will with which he was endowed by his Father was a truth, but there, reaching the limit, he will open his eyes to light and love, to bow before my presence, surrendered before the only absolute power and the only universal wisdom that is that of your God. Fight and persevere, people, and in truth I tell you, that I will allow you to contemplate the fulfillment of my word. Feel, beloved disciples, how divine love is manifested when you repent of your faults. My spirit is then pleased with men. Through human understanding you have had me as an understanding and tender Father, correcting your imperfections with infinite wisdom and patience. At this time I have come to leave you in simple words the most sublime expression of what spirituality is. I have come to teach you the most practical way to comply, so that the disciple of this work walks smoothly along the path traced by my charity from eternity. Spiritualism is not creating new laws, it only reveals to you the way to ascend and walk without stopping, within the law of all times. The spirit is originally pure, and if it has been contaminated by impurities in the world, it will have to purify itself before achieving victory in this cause entrusted to it. The spiritualist, by conviction, must eliminate from himself everything that he judges causes him backwardness, because my word will not be imposed by fear, it will convert and persuade, making its truth and love felt, just as the doctrine of Christ in the second era was not imposed either. Today Christ, the Master, tells you, that miracle of being transformed by my word, is done by faith. Who doubts my presence at this time? Who can limit the faculties of those who can do everything? Who can prevent the Master from coming to manifest himself through a human being, which is his masterpiece, made in his image and likeness in terms of spirit? From this explanation that I give you, take its content as a weapon so that you can explain these manifestations to the unbeliever tomorrow. You will be besieged by the questions of the fools and the enemies of this cause, but do not fear, I will be with you. Before, I have let you know the paths, the crossroads and the dangers so that, knowing good and evil, you may always know how to discover the true path, which will return you to your origin, to the bosom of the Father from which you sprang. If man dwells on earth, it is by the will of the Father, through him he breathes and lives, and in that human form your Lord took to live in the world and let good and evil approach him, allowing himself to be tempted in his humility. If I became a man out of love, to live among you, why shouldn't I manifest myself through the understanding of man, whom I love so much and whom I seek to help him save himself? Every human being feels his own spirit live within himself and sometimes feels the longing for an invisible hand that reaches out to him. When sorrow invades his heart, he looks up to the sky in search of resignation and shouts from the depths of his being to be heard. How can you think that your voice reaches the Creator and that your afflicted face is seen by Him? How can you entertain the idea that your Lord knows you? Because in the Spirit there are faculties that make Him sense and know the Father to implore Him when what He is looking for is not found on earth. If you come to understand my lessons in this way, why not believe that God can manifest Himself through the attributes of man, if he is part of God Himself? The man, no matter how materialistic he may be, will feel a power that is above everything, and that feeling or intuition of my existence will convince him that these manifestations are subject to a principle of truth, justice, and love. It is true that it has been necessary for the man given to this service to have sufficient conviction to carry out such a delicate task, and that when he did not know how to remove in time the weaknesses and inclinations towards the material to receive my divine ray, the manifestation did not have the outward splendor that listeners always longed for, even when behind the imperfections of matter was always present the essence and truth of the divine spirit. If when studying my word you find any differences in the manner of expression, let this not bother you, because it does not matter. Inspiration reaches all the bearers of the voice and they give it linguistic form according to the perfection they have reached within the language. Look for the contents of the meaning, the essence, which is what you must take with you. My peace be with you.